Hello. Just gonna be listening for now.
All right, so we're going to take a few notes today about cell transport. All right.
Yeah, I can see. I can see it. I can't see. You're just right in front of it.
Please listen. While you take notes, please listen. Cell transport. That's what we're talking about today. We're going to be talking about the first part of cell transport. Okay. Cell transport. Materials move in and out of cells by diffusion. Rewriting this. Cell transport. Materials move in and out of cells by diffusion. Yes, Dominic.
Get a highlighter out since they highlighted it.
If you'd like to, I highlighted it just so that you know that it's an important word to know. That doesn't require talking. Get your highlighter out, that does not require you to talk. Now, I'm going to give you a definition of diffusion in a moment, and then we are going to do a little visual representation of what diffusion is. Now, this definition is a little long, but I promise it'll make sense once we talk about it.
What? Oh wow, that's a lot.
The bonus stands for we will become on. If you think about it, you can do it almost all. I whacked the teacher in the head. We are a bunch of waffles. They can be on that school.
So diffusion, definition of diffusion. Particles of a substance move from an area where there are a lot of particles of the substance to an area where there are fewer particles of the substance. Okay? So this is the definition of diffusion. This comes right from the book. So diffusion. Particles of a substance move from an area where there are a lot of particles of that substance to an area where there are fewer particles of the substance. Yes, you can Materials move in and out of cells by diffusion. Definition of diffusion are particles of a substance move from an area where there are a lot of particles of that substance to an area where there are fewer particles of the substance.
Eight. Fewer particles.
Taking notes is a good skill to learn. It's important for you as you continue on to middle school, to 6th or 8th grade, and then on to high school. This is a good skill to learn. Okay, let's talk about an example of diffusion.
David.
Okay, so here's an example of diffusion.
I'm recording.
Yes, I would like you to write the example. So, here's our example. Oxygen diffuses out of red blood cells. Our red blood cells in our body contain a lot of oxygen. The oxygen diffuses out of those red blood cells and into our body. And at the same time, our body is making a lot of carbon dioxide. And that carbon dioxide diffuses out of our body cells. It diffuses into the blood.
That sounds weird.
Okay? So oxygen diffuses out of red blood cells and into our body. Red blood cells contain a lot of oxygen. And then carbon dioxide diffuses from our body, out of the body cells, into blood, into the blood. Now, the cool thing about this example is that this diffusion that we're talking about here with oxygen, carbon dioxide, it's happening right now. Right now as we speak. Our bodies are doing this. Our bodies are diffusing oxygen out of our red blood cells into our body cells.
Whoa, that's awesome.
At the same time, our body is producing carbon dioxide. And that is being diffused out of our body cells back into our blood. So this is a real example of how diffusion works. Okay? Now, I mentioned that the definition of diffusion. Particles of a substance move from an area where there are a lot of particles to an area where there are fewer particles. So let's think about that in terms of our example. So our red blood cells contain a lot of oxygen. So when it goes through diffusion, oxygen moves from an area where there is a lot of particles, so there's a lot of particles of oxygen in our blood, to an area where there are fewer particles. So our body needs oxygen to operate. So the oxygen goes from the red blood cells into our body. Okay? And the same thing with carbon dioxide. Our body cells make a lot of carbon dioxide. So when the diffusion takes place, it's moving those particles of carbon dioxide from our body cells, where there's a lot of them, to our blood cells, into our blood, where there's less, where there's fewer. Okay? So, let's visualize this. I need 8 volunteers, please. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, come up front, please.
Sorry.
I was here first.
So, I need Charlie, you stand over here too. Dominic and Hannah. No, Charlie, stand over here. All right, you're going to stand here and face the class. Face the class. Now, class, it's hard to see. Hard to see, but I made a little circle on the floor here with some cords that I have.
I
Okay?
can see.
Okay? All right, you guys take 2 steps that direction.
1, 2.
Okay? All right.
Why are you bringing the chair?
So, in this example, okay?
I haven't finished, Dominic.
Okay.
Okay.
In this example, so, in diffusion, we talk about particles moving where there's a lot to where there's few. So right now, in my imaginary cell, how many particles do I have? How many people are here? 2. And how many particles are over here? 6. So, how many of these particles would have to move into the cell in order for diffusion to take place?
6. Hey guys, 1.
Okay?
3.
If we needed to balance it out, how many would need to move?
2.
2. Okay, so you 2, move on over. Move on over. Okay? So now, inside our cell, we have 4 particles, and outside we have 4 particles. Now, let's think about our example. Oxygen. Okay? So I need 2 more of you to go stand in the circle. All right. So,
you are not a robot.
So, we are all oxygen particles. And we've got 6 particles in here. They're in their red blood cells, okay? So there's a lot of oxygen. The other 3 of us, we're over here, we're the body cells. And we don't have enough oxygen. There's only 3 of us, and there's 6 of them. So what happens in diffusion? What happens?
They pass it out.
Right, so oxygen diffuses out of the red blood cells. So, 3 of you 3, come out this way. This way. All right. Now we have diffused some of our oxygen from our red blood cells over into our body cells. Now, change it up one more time. Now, we've converted from oxygen. Now we are carbon dioxide.
Get rid of the carbon.
Now, there's how many of our carbon dioxide molecules are here in our body?
5.
Right. And how many are in our body cells?
3.
Our blood cells? 3.
Wait, 3.
So we need a whole bunch of carbon dioxide to go into our body cells, into our blood cells. Keep going, everybody.
I am not the only girl now.
All right. So that. All right, you guys can sit down. Everybody give our volunteers a round of applause.
Yay, you guys did horrible. Hey, you guys did horrible.
All right, so that is an example. That's an example of diffusion. Okay, where our oxygen is moving out of our red blood cells into our bodies.
I like science, but I don't want to do it. This is health, not science.
Yes, you do.
Wait, what is it?
This is health, not science.
It sounded like you said, this is hell, not science.
Well, I said this is health, not
Do you
science.
want to know the meanest thing?
What?
So let's say you had, let's just say,
All right,
you
we
have a
have a few
family
more.
member that dies, and then they say, let's say it's your grandma.
We have a
Just
few
let's
more
say-
notes to
let's
take.
say that.
Okay, so the first The first element of cell transport that we're going to talk about is
That would be the meanest thing for me.
passive transport. This is the one we're going to concentrate on today before we finish up today. Okay? Passive transport. So in passive transport, we just read about this in the book. Passive transport is the energy-free movement of materials through the cell membrane. Okay? Should be writing this down. Passive transport. There are two kinds of transport, and this is the first kind. Passive transport. I should not be competing with other voices in the room. Thank you. Passive transport. It's the energy-free movement of materials through the cell membrane. Remember, in the plants, in cells, cell membrane is kind of like the fence around. It's what keeps everything contained in the cell. And in this case, as materials move in and out of the cell membrane kind of acts as the gate. It says, yes, I will allow you to come into the cell or go out of the cell. So passive transport is energy-free movement. That means things can move in and out of the cell without having to use any energy. Okay? Stay with me. Okay. Diffusion is an example of passive transport. Diffusion does not need energy from the cell. Okay? Diffusion is an example of that energy-free movement.
It's a good angle. This is the boringest video ever. Guys, it looks like I'm gonna end the video here, so